make sense.
The list is your strategy.
Yeah, pretty much. There you go.
It is.
Wait, you're saying it matters who we call?
Yeah, you're saying I should know something about my prospect before I call them out of the blue and try to pitch them something? Whoa.
Well, don't get me wrong here, though. Like, to your point, yes, if you're building your own list, you need to do those things, but you could also have someone else do that and ensure that if you want to talk to the person responsible for sales at a company, that you freaking check their LinkedIn profile. And first of all, are they still even there? You know, with Zoom Info, everyone loves Zoom Info. They think it's the best thing since sliced bread. You know, you go into their database, and I still get calls myself to this day. I was one of my customers, a company called The Loop Loft. So I managed their LinkedIn page for a period of time as paid social advertising. It's one of my customers, and he just gave it to me because we were doing some stuff. So I still get calls. For some reason, I am in their database as someone at The Loop Loft. I've never worked at The Loop Loft. If you go to my LinkedIn page, I'm not even there. But this was like 2015. I get calls all the time, and actually, some of them are from Zoom Info sales reps. You know, so it's really weird that people won't just go to, you know, when you're doing research out of a database, or, you know, like your example there, just freaking click the LinkedIn profile. If you're blessed to be selling a B2B, right? Some people aren't. That's okay. But if you're selling a B2B, so use LinkedIn. Check the damn profile. Am I still at the company? Am I in the role?
Right.
And that also gives you a signal too, because going back to your multi-touch stuff, if you're going to do what Zach said, send a LinkedIn voicemail. If you have a sequence that says to do all those things, Zeb, sorry.
You gotta read my LinkedIn profile, Ryan.
I'm so sorry. Z, I only know Zach's, now I know Zeb. You know, if you're gonna do a multi-touch outreach in your sequence, and you know, it's like, hey, day one, call, LinkedIn, so and ahead of time, if you would just check that Zeb is not active on social at all, in fact, like he doesn't have a picture there, like you know, like that should not be in your series of touches. Like there's all these sequences that have people doing these multi-touch outreach where that channel isn't even verified or validated, as I call it. So why are you having your reps continue to click in to do a touch on social when the person isn't on social? Those are all little simple things at the very, very tip of the top of the funnel, where if you have a strong list strategy where you have a team that's doing channel validation, even ahead of, you know, role and all the other kind of research validation before it gets into your sales reps' hands. The most expensive work that your revenue engine's doing is when you put labor behind a list. Every single hour on that list, I mean, one attempt on a rep that makes 75,000 fully loaded is like $10, right? On a 50, you know, it's ridiculous. But they want to go and skim off the top and pay nothing for good data. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's the disconnect we see so often, right, Ryan? It's like one of the things that, and Eric, we've talked about this a bunch, is look at all the different behaviors your SDRs are doing. How much time are they spending before they pick up the call, before they pick up the phone, or conduct any outreach whatsoever, to go to these different tools and solutions to find information that could be wrong from the get-go? And then look at what you're paying them from a salary and from a benefits perspective, and do the math. You're paying them 30, 40 grand a year to do research and admin tasks. That is a very, very expensive proposition. Whereas half that investment, you could fill their system of record with all the information they need at their fingertips from the get-go. I don't care if it's with LeadGenius. I don't care if it's from you know, some outreach, some outside team that you hire. But I think one of the biggest takeaways that any SDRs that are on this call right now should take with them, and any managers and any leaders that are on this call, on this webinar, is invest in either advocating to your manager to get quality information that you can actually use and sell with, or if you're a manager, advocate for your team to get that data, just like Eric has, from whatever resource you need, to make sure that your team has what they need to actually do their job, and that you aren't spending extra dollars in other places for them really to be doing admin tasks that you know, should be done elsewhere. That's the biggest. Invest in your strategy, invest in the data that you're using, and don't be penny wise, pound foolish when it comes to that investment, and just assume that SDRs can handle it.
Like imagine you have 10 BDRs, and on a conservative estimate, they're building lists. They're spending conservatively 1/3 of their time building those lists. So like you said, that's $30,000, because, you know, 6 figures is about right for a BDR fully loaded with benefits and everything. That's $300,000 a year,
Right?
that is being spent on list building and in an ineffective manner most of the time. And so it makes perfect sense for organizations to redeploy those resources and 2, 3, 4x, their BDR's effectiveness, because they're going to have all this extra time to do what they're supposed to be doing, which is talk to prospects. So I think, like Zeb, earlier you said, well, it's a mix between quality and quantity, right? If you've got a good fuel line behind the scenes, whatever that team is, sales ops, whatever, that is scraping, building amazing lists, I think you can have quality and quantity at the same time. Like one thing we did recently at Financial Force was we took a simple data point, which was, hey, let's figure out what contacts used to work at our customer account that now work at our target accounts. And we got several thousand amazing titles, and we built a sequence that was completely templated, but it appeared to be hyper customized because of that amazing list that we built behind the scenes. The BDRs didn't do a thing. We just gave them all these contacts. We're like, hey, this is prime. These are like our raving fans, essentially. And we had like a 35% reply rate. And like, think about ideas like that. And that's the key to quality and quantity, but you can't do it if you've got all your reps just putzing around in Zoom Info one at a time without a consolidated data strategy to support, that motion.
I would also add, at the end of the day, we're talking about organizations. If you want to be a top BDR, if there's SDRs, BDRs, whatever you want to call yourselves, go to Upwork and get your own assistant if you can't afford it.
Yes.
I'm serious. Go pay $500 a month to get a perfect freaking list, and don't spend your time doing it. You're going to increase if you get $100 a meeting, right? Go pay the money for the list. It's going to pay for itself. It will. I mean, I never understand that piece either. Oh, my company won't invest in it. Go. I mean, the tools exist. You can get yourself an assistant for pennies on the dollar, right?
Don't even tell your boss. Just go do it. Just like.
What's the difference? They're just going to send it to you in a spreadsheet anyway, and then just load it in the way you do it. But you just saved all that time, energy, and effort. And I don't know, LeadGenius, I don't know where you guys start your price point, so maybe you're not there. But I can't tell you how much time, energy, and effort is wasted just talking to individual reps saying, man, I just really wish my company would do that. Do it yourself. You make enough money, man. Do the math. Create your own success. Yeah. Learn how to actually leverage resources to make more money. That's the entrepreneurial spirit there. So I would highly encourage that. Don't
Ryan. I mean, you couldn't speak to my heart more than what you just said, right? I think some of the most successful SDRs that I've seen that have just grown their own careers have just figured out creative ways to solve their own problems and use tools and technology that are available to them, that are cheap in the grand scheme of things, that they can put on a credit card and just execute. And it's kind of that mentality that I think everyone on this call wants to bring to their org. But you're absolutely right, man. You've got Upwork, you've got Fiverr, you've got all these tools now that for very, very low cost, very, very high ROI off what you can get paid from a commission perspective on what you're going to invest to do that data work, to have someone offshore do it for you, it's totally worth it. I think that's a great lesson here as far as like actionable things that an SDR can leave this meeting today with to go out and do. And those sites have categories on, hey, here's people who are going to do database work for you. They're going to do data entry. They're going to do research. There's actually categories on those sites. You don't even need to do the hard work of finding the right people on those sites to do it. It's literally categorized for you. And it's a no-brainer as an individual person. It's totally true.
And I do want to leave some time for QA. So I have one last question for everyone. My last question is just a bonus question for fun. What is the best way that you've heard someone open a cold call or open up a conversation on a cold call?
Well, I'll jump in here and steal Ryan's thunder, because Ryan works at Connect and Sell, and Connect and Sell's CEO, Chris Beal, taught me one of the greatest lines of all time, which is, hey, I know I'm an interruption to your day. Do you have 27 seconds for me to tell you why I called? And I never advocate using that for people below kind of a power line. That's just me. I think you should use that with executives, small business owners, anyone who's an owner or something. Their time is money. And if you quantify immediately how much time you're going to take from them, and you acknowledge what you are, you're not magical problem solver who's going to do all this stuff. No, you're an interruption, right? You are interrupting their day. So that's one of the methodologies that I teach my reps at Sales Gig that gets us a lot of really good conversations, is acknowledging out the gate, I'm an interruption. Do you have a second for me to talk? And the beautiful part about what we do at Sales Gig and what a lot of other companies that get it are doing is, if now's not the right time, don't push the matter. Okay, it's not the right time. Bye. Hang up. Automated system will call them back another day, right?
Yes.
But getting ahead of that and just asking for time right away has incredible conversion rate for us.
Yeah, we've used that one as well, which is, hey, I just did some research and I just wanted to run something by you. Do you have 30 seconds just so I can tell you why I'm trying to get a hold of you? It's kind of the same thing, but it's effective because you're saying, hey, I did research. I'm calling you specifically. Do you have 30 seconds? But my personal favorite that's definitely not scalable at all, when I was a BDR, I just want to say, because it's hilarious, because when I was a BDR, I was selling digital consulting services, and I used to love calling people that had the same name as me. So their name was Eric. And so I knew before they even picked up, I knew that I had a connection with this person, that we have this, we're kindred spirits, we're on some universal level. And I would always say, hey, Eric, it's also Eric from where I'm calling. Isn't that so fun? And they would always laugh, and they would always give me the time of day. In fact, I would call Eric's sometimes more than I would other prospects, because I'm like, this guy's gonna love me. We have the same name. I mean, we joke around because mine's spelled with a K. I'd be like, C or K? You're a C guy? Oh man, let me talk to you about what I'm trying to sell you. You know what I mean? And it was I don't know. I think the point though is connect as fast as possible. Find some connection within the first 5 seconds, and they'll always hear you out because they're human beings, and they're not robots.
I was gonna ask, is it the C or the K? Because that's definitely not scalable if it has to be the K. Sorry,
yeah, it's the K. It's the K. So scalability out the window, I guess.
Yeah, and my name
Zeb and I
won't scale either.
Yeah,
Zeb and I were we were the kids that couldn't find our name on the keychain. So we're just
doesn't work for you guys.
Get called Zach.
Well, see, there's a lot of Zachs. There's a lot. I'm telling you. See, hey, at least we can connect on that. Hey, I have a good one recently. I live stream my cold calls now, so I'm talking when people are asking questions. I'm talking, and then I'll hear a beep and I to talk. And I was saying A/B testing, but they heard baby testing. That's what they heard when the call opened. Baby testing. And the person said, what? So any pattern interrupt, Eric, to your point, if you want to try some fun stuff, say just random things when they start. I try a lot of different things at the top of the funnel. Just simply saying hello and shutting up tends to work pretty well too. You can get a good sense of their personality. How long does it take for them to respond? How quickly do they get to, sorry, who is this? Or, hey, how can I help you? Right? If you're not calling on direct dials and you're trying to figure out if it's a direct dial or not for the first time, you use a system like ours, I don't even know who's picking up yet. I can tell if it's the person or not. If I have a male name and it's a female, then I go, oh, I'm looking for Dennis. These little things that you can do to gather a little bit more information before you get into the next phase. The personality piece comes out quite a bit. And if you don't do that, what I do on all my calls before I get into 27 seconds on Kevin's side is I just say, hey, this is Ryan, and a shut up. Same thing. So you could just say hello, or you could just say, hey, this is Ryan. And that's kind of a Sandler technique, and it works pretty well for it's different, right? You don't get right into spilling your stuff. And if you do it with some excitement like you did, Eric, you add that you think it's you think it's an Eric, that'll really up level your game. Like, hey, this
Yeah.
is Ryan. Like it will. They're like, Ryan, you know, thanks for the excitement, right?
Yeah.
That will help.
Yeah, I
That
think
will help a lot.
there's a couple things, Ryan, that you mentioned, and Eric too, with your energy. I think not
Zeb,
necessarily.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but right before you, I'm going to let you finish. I want to ask everyone to, if you do have questions, go ahead and type them into QA. We'll start that soon, but go ahead, Zeb.
Yeah, just quick. I think a lot of it has to do with your excitement on the other end of the phone. I think there's really three things that I really like. Kevin, I think your point about, if they don't want to talk, let them go. Don't try to keep talking and try to hook them and it's just never going to work. Just let them go if they want to leave, and you'll call them later. Ryan, I think what you said about, say something and then shut up. One thing I love about Connect and Sell is the pre-recorded message you can add. Just, hey, it's Ryan. And it will automatically play that when someone picks up. And then you can just wait and see what they do next without ever actually saying anything. I love that feature. I think not just that feature and the, hey, your name, but also pausing and just allowing there to be some silence is something. Like, we get nervous. People have cold call reluctance. They want to just talk and talk and talk and fill that empty space with something. Do the opposite of that. Ask a question, have a pause, just have some, and on top of that too, it's just the enthusiasm. Like, if you're standing up, I like to, when I was cold calling a lot, I used to do it standing up, because at least for me, I felt more energy than if I was sitting down. People can sense that on the other end of the phone. So less about trying to think about the magic bullet thing to say. Kevin, I think what you said is really, really good. But in addition to that, it's about your presence. If you're standing, if you have enthusiasm, and just in thinking about taking things measured, not trying to verbally digest and get out everything you just want to say. Have a cadence and just be measured in what you're saying. So I think those are all things that I've heard that are really successful, and also in people cold calling me too.
Okay. I'm going to turn it over to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type it in there. We do have a couple of questions. They are along the same lines. So one of them is, it sounds like everyone agrees LinkedIn is a good sales tool for BDRs. Are there any other tools you would highly recommend?
So if you're not using video, we didn't talk about that at all in the session, but I would recommend trying one of the free plugins. Vidyard has a free plugin. I think most of them will have like a freemium and a premium. I enjoy having the Vidyard video so that after a conversation, I can use that to personalize my message and then use my templates behind it. So the video is my personalization. Everything else is more templatized. It helps you stand out and put a face to the name in this digital environment. And you can do some really creative things. Even if you're not comfortable showing your face, you can still use video to do screen shares. You can go to their website, you can go to their LinkedIn profile. You can do a lot of different things with video that I'd highly recommend if you haven't started using video. It's one simple tool to add to the mix. It doesn't take a lot of extra effort, and there's free versions to get started.
One that's not necessarily free, or there's some free trials out there, but a dialer. When I was a sales rep, I used to have to when I was an SDR, I had to punch numbers into a VoIP phone that was right next to my laptop, and that eats away at your soul day by day. Nothing makes you order a beer at lunch more than knowing you have to go back and go, oh my God, like it's the worst, right? And then you listen, ring, oh Jesus Christ, pick up. And then when they pick up, you're like, oh my God, right? So technology around phone calls has come a long way. Ryan's out there preaching this every single day, the idea that you should not be making hand phone calls because there's faster ways to do it. You can use a tool like Connect and Sell. They do a free test drive, by the way. I don't know if Ryan was going to plug that, but your organization should do a test drive just to drive the Ferrari. There's other dialers in the market. There's a parallel dialer called Orem that dials 3 or 4 people at once. First human to pick up gets transferred to you. There's one called Phone Burner. Phone Burner does a free trial, I believe, for a week. So if you're out there, it's do the free trial for a week, upload the CSV, all a bunch of people, all in a row, one after another, never press a number. Just let it go and see if you like it. I think you will if you're doing hand dials right now. And just know that there is a lot of technology out there to do the old-fashioned stuff faster, smarter, better.
Yeah.
One thing.
LinkedIn can be useful too when you actually connect with someone. This relates back to your point, Ryan, about using video. When you connect with someone, you can send them a video message. So if you have a prospect that's gone dark on you, you haven't heard from them in a while, I like to send a message, a video message directly on LinkedIn. And if you're connected with them, you can actually do it for free without using your email credits. And you can then see when they view it. It's just another great sort of, they'll get the notification on their phone. It's like a really nice personal touch point. You can also leave voicemails on LinkedIn as messages as well, again, without using your email credits, so long as you're connected. So another tool that I've seen a lot of people use is like Octopus CRM or Linked Helper. They help you at scale make connect requests. And then once that person is connected with you, you can then send them that LinkedIn voicemail or send them that LinkedIn video. And the stuff that we talked about earlier today applies as far as not spamming them and not overusing that, just like you wouldn't overuse email or some of the other touch points. But those can be really useful tools to help you connect faster on LinkedIn.
There's a bunch of LinkedIn tools out there, like a lot. So if you're not using one, go to Google and type in LinkedIn automation. Phantom Buster is another one. Duck Soup is another one. Automate LinkedIn, but know that people are getting better and better. This whole thing that came out recently that now everyone has emojis in their name, they're going to know that you automated that connection. It's going to feel less authentic. So if you're an SDR, I would have a hit list of people you really want to get meetings with. I wouldn't use automation to go after those people. What I would use automation to do is grow your network of people like you. Get to know the people in your sales community. Connect with people like Ryan, people like Zeb, people like Eric, people like me. You can use LinkedIn to automate those really soft. I'm not selling you. I just want to be connected to you, hear what you have to say. I do that. I don't use LinkedIn automation for prospects. That's just the way I use it.
So we have another question here. The question is, how would you convince a prospect to go with your bid, even though it's the highest out of 3 RFQs?
The highest value or the highest what? Price
dollar amount.
Price is really irrelevant, right? Like price is irrelevant for a good salesperson because the value is what you hold, right? Like the value should connect 1-to-1 to the value. Like that's my question there. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but price.
I mean,
That's
really like, that's really the only way to do it. I mean, sometimes prospects have this impression that all this subset of tools are the same. But most of the time, they're absolutely not. And if they're priced that differently, there's a very good reason for that. And you just got to explain that. I mean, there's a reason that the low-cost price solution is a low-cost price solution. You better insert some serious FUD in there so they understand exactly what the limitations are if you're the highest price in the space.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
100%.
traditionally, LeadGenius has almost always been the most expensive solution in any given, RFP situation. Almost always. The reason we win a lot of those is because we look at value from just an ROI perspective, and we have, case studies and information that we use to back that up, and just some fancy sales tools, some calculators that we've built to actually show people, all right, if you have this many reps, and we're helping you increase efficiency by this much by removing a lot of the steps and pain and headache and admin tasks, this is what your actual sales team will be able to produce given some of your existing, as Ryan put it, your math of sales. So, there's different tools that you can use. A lot of reps will kind of create their own little calculators to help people actually understand that value and put some quantification behind what that actually means to say we're the highest value. Like, what does that actually mean? And we have some calculators to help us to do that. The other thing that we do is, we just released a tool over here at LeadGenius called Flow. It's just designed to help SDRs in a free way get a lot of the data that we've been talking about today, the contact information, some of the personalization details. Imagine just being able to click a button with a Chrome extension and just get all of those details delivered directly into, whatever system of record you're using, overlaid with that Chrome extension. So that's another tool that sometimes we bring into the conversation to kind of sweeten the pot for a lot of our customers. is, you know, also the ability to kind of test drive things, right? Yeah, we're the most expensive, but here's how you can test drive us to actually see the value that we're quantifying, you know, in this calculator for you. We let them try some of our tools, which is a common tactic, right? But flow we found is a really useful way for us to do that here.
All right.
I would mirror all that stuff. At the end of the day, sometimes you have to let people, if you truly do have a higher value solution, to Eric's point, you better actually make that very aware. To Kevin's question is like, is that truly the case? And if it truly is the case and someone's focused on price, sometimes you have to let people go feel the pain of doing it at a lower cost, and then they'll come back. So don't fudge. If the true value is there, just let them experience the problem. If they haven't experienced it yet, they may not know. And that might be a future customer. So don't fear losing a deal on price if you truly do have value.
I love that, Ryan. Oftentimes people come back when you tell them no. Like, this salesperson saying no to me? I'm not, you talked about in cold calling, like changing the script, right? Or you know, flipping the script on them and telling them no to a prospect. They're like, wait a second, what? ZoomInfo didn't tell me no. ZoomInfo is like kowtowing to me. They're going to give me everything for free. Well, go try them. You should go do that.
Yeah, you should go do that. You obviously, I did a poor job, but you know, I did a poor job of explaining the difference. Go, if you think it's apples to apples and you're optimizing for price, you know, if it sounds like you already have made your decision. You know, my price is my price. So, and that's always a good strategy. Always a good strategy. If you truly do have that value. Now, if you don't, that's a different story.
Yeah, then you got bigger problems.
Yeah, you have other problems. You have other product problems that you talk about at the top of the hour.
You should go work at Connect and Sell or LeadGenius then.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's all the time that we have. I want to thank you all so much for joining us and providing so much value in this conversation. And thank you everyone for attending. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and week, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, team.